Video games. They're about many things in this world. A form of art, a form of entertainment, a form of controversy. There have been few games that have dominated the market recently, such as Minecraft and World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, and other things. But did you know there are actually video games that far precede those? Today, I'll be telling you about the history of video games. Did you know in the 1950s, that's when our first technical video games were created? The first one was in 1952 at Cambridge University. A professor by the name of A.S. Douglas created a program on the EDSAC computer called OXO. In the United Kingdom, this was known as Noughts and Crosses, or simply in the US, Tic-Tac-Toe. This was simply where you, the player, would just playing a game of tic-tac-toe with a computer. Rather simple. Then we go into 1958 with Willie Higginbotham. We have a table tennis game, which is actually made using an analog computer and an oscilloscope. The game itself didn't actually last that long, like only 2 years before it was dismantled in itself, but its legacy still lived on in the 1972 game called Pong. It was just a simple game of tennis on an arcade system. However, this simple game of tennis would actually become one of the most world-renowned games and bring about a good age of video games. However, there was a period in 1983 that would lead to a almost death of video games per se. Atari, the same people that made Pong, would also end up creating the game E.T. Now, if you're thinking right, E.T. was a video game that was based off the movie hit during the time. However, this game was completely rushed and not given time to be prepared, and thus, after one of its previous games of Pac-Man, which was also rushed, it was already looked at with such disdain, and it was sold back in so many units. Now, this already paired with the flood of video games and video game consoles that were already in the market. This led to the video game crash of 1983, which almost destroyed the video game industry as a whole. However, during 1985, Nintendo in Japan would come out with this console called the Famicom. However, when it was brought to the US, it was known as the console called the Nintendo Entertainment System. With this system came one game, Super Mario Bros. Now, these two in themselves not only prevented the video game industry from crashing and going completely, it actually let this industry survive and become a household commodity. And so, with this, the video games being restored, we will see a new age of video game era, and so on, just multiple video games, just each improving over the last. Now, some games are good and some games are bad, but that's the way it works in any form of art and entertainment. Though also, like any form of art and entertainment, there comes controversy. Take two games I imagine you don't know. Mortal Kombat and Grand Theft Auto. And these two game franchises were known as some of the most controversial video games due to the fact of what they displayed as in gore, violence, sexual acts, drug uses, other things, disrespecting the authorities, murder, other just general terrible things, which some parents thought were using to influence kids in bad ways. In the end, video games have existed for actually quite a while. Some games were simple, like that OXO game, and some games have become so complicated, though at the same time so beautiful, like Minecraft. It's just amazing to see how the gaming industry itself has evolved. And personally, what I can't wait for is to see what the future of video games hold for us all. Thank you, and that is my presentation.